Hello, welcome to Dodgy's Garage, where I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Anyway, today is bike day. We're going to be playing with bikes. So the one I'm working on at the moment is the 2003 Triumph Sprint RS 955i. Now, I bought this from the auctions and it didn't run because of the clutch spray, which sits in there. And what happens is your starter motor's in there, it turns and it pulls on this, which then is only supposed to slip one way and not the other, and it's supposed to then grab like it's kind of doing there. It slips when it's running, but then it grabs. Unfortunately, inside of there is, see those little cam gears? And they're held in place around it by a single spring. Like one large spring, like you find in an oil seal. It has a spring inside there and that holds all these together. Well, that spring eventually expands and just loses its grip on reality. And these things don't hold tight to actually grab that to then slip. So they lose the thing. Even though they're not worn down, it's enough that this will not spring. Once you put a bit of pressure on it, it will not, and it starts to chatter. And it's a common problem with these. As you can see, this one's not really that big. Just what I'll show you, I've got to take this off now, because when I did pull all this off and change it, we didn't have gaskets to replace it, so there's not a lot of oil in there. Luckily, being it lean over, the oil didn't leak out, but there should be a lot more oil in there. In fact, there's supposed to be 4 litres. So obviously there's not a lot of oil in here, but that's your starter in there, because there's the starter right there. So that's your gear. I'll show it all in a sec. But yeah, I had to swap this, and as you can see, I'll show you what the new one upgraded looks like, and then we'll go from there. Right, yeah. So 5 minutes later, that is what we've got there. So there is the new one, and as you can see, that is a way bigger, and if you look on the side around the cog, the gap around the cog is way bigger than, look how big this gap is, and look how thick that is. That's not that thick, neither is the owner, but that is way bigger than this little, I mean, look at this, it's just, yeah, this is so much smaller. Anyway, that didn't quite fit, because that, obviously they beefed these up for the later models, Daytona, Speed Triples and whatever. That's a big chunky piece. And it doesn't quite fit in this combination, because it starts to grind, as you can see, especially that one right there. So I had to get a grinder out and relief cut that out, and then this out, for the actual, for that to actually fit in, because it started grinding. So yeah, I'm hoping that has, because that's one nut. I think you're supposed to what does it call it? Put some goop on that to stop that from backing out. I'm not sure. It should be still pretty tight, but yeah, I had to relieve these bits to actually get it to spin without, because it started self-relieving, which isn't great. But yeah, so that's the gasket. So you got that big gasket, which is that one there, but as it sits on like that, you've then got the starter one, because your starter sits just in there. And as you can see, we've got this gear here. I don't know if I can show you. This little, oh, and there goes the spring. This little toothy bugger, which sits against, what does it sit against? The big one sits against your starter, and then the little one sits against there, which then pushes that, which then starts it. But, wouldn't you know it, now it doesn't fucking want to start. So I've got the gaskets. I hope they're the right gaskets. So I've got to replace this and then fill it with oil. Oil should be pissing out of that. So you can see there's a little bit there, and that's just not even anywhere close. There should be a lot more oil. Problem is, I've got to check this, make sure that still rotates easy. Someone in the infinite wisdom decided to give it a crank and run it. Now, we've had it running, we've drove it around the shed, and oh geez, this thing is lethal. But it doesn't have an exhaust as such. It's just like straight open pipe to those. It started barking sparks and flames and whatever out of there. So without that much oil in it and sparking flames and bugger all fuel, it actually ran out of fuel, it stopped. Now it won't crank over properly. Full battery, doesn't crank over. Had a similar thing when that was rubbing against the housing. So I'm just, while I've got this off, because I've got to put the new gaskets in anyway, I thought I'd check and just see. That cost me $150 from eBay, from a wrecker. He said it would fit. It kind of does, but then it doesn't. And as you can see with this setup, it's different to all the later model ones. So this is an 03. So I'm not sure if that came off an 05 or whatever. And this is the RS, not the ST, the touring version. So I don't know if these engines are much different. This is a known problem with Triumph. So if you get a Triumph and it won't start, like it makes a heap of noise, it's your starter spray. They, when I first asked, retailed at the shop for $5.99. When we went online to have a look, they were $9.99. Just for a freaking sprag, and the only thing that's really wrong with it is the goddamn spring that sits around it to hold those little clutch packs in, or the roller teeth. It's like freaking hell. Some people have tried to use a spring out of an oil washer to go around it to do it. Yeah, it kind of works, a bush fix, but yeah, it doesn't. So now that that is in, I think got some bits and pieces here. Maybe that one's the one. No, that's probably not it. No. Oh, here we go. Here we go, sir. I think I said it was a 6mm. That's a 7. Oh, that's right. 6, and that's the one he hasn't got. Maybe it's... No. Oh no, 8mm. That's the one he doesn't have. I think we use something else. Oh, come on. Right. 5/16. Alright, so that's not loose at all. You can hear the compression, so that's not loose. So that hasn't backed out, because sometimes these actually, because that's the crank, that's the end of the crank, these actually snap the end of the crank off. They're a very known problem, so if you ever buy a Triumph, check that, because you've got this part here which just screws out. That's just a screw. So you get a, I don't know, whatever the size that is, and just unscrew that, and that'll let you have a look at that to see if it's broken off. If that just spins, it means it's no longer on the crank, which means you need a new crank, because it would have snapped the crank off. Not good. And the crank's like 600 bucks. You might as well just junk the engine. So, yeah. So that seems to be all good. I can't see any new scratch marks or anything on the inside of here, other than the ones that I've put in, the clearancing marks. I can't see anything else, because it has got a squeak when it starts now. You can definitely hear it squeaking. So I don't know if we've chewed a bearing in it, the main bearing from running it low on oil and then revving the ring out of it, which is not ideal. I mean, I guess you could pull this apart, flip it over, take the pan off, and maybe push in some new bearings. But that just sounds like a lot of work I don't want to do. Which, yeah. I mean, obviously it hasn't got a frame. It's bolted to the frame itself like a stressed member. Still not something I want to do. Because it took me over 2 weeks to get these, I think 2 or 3 weeks to get these gaskets, because the local Triumph place is an absolute shit fight. Tim Britton, Rockingham. Shit fight to try and actually get them spare parts. They're only interested in selling new bikes, or selling bikes. Parts, they're useless. Their parts interpreters are all dickheads. So trying to get them to actually get any parts is an absolute pain in the arse. So I'm not looking particularly good at changing cam bearings, or not cam bearings, but bottom end crank bearings. So, well, seeing that this is okay, I might put the new gaskets on, because that's kind of done. If I want to put Loctite on this, I can just unscrew that and put it in. I don't need to take off the whole thing. I just had to change this over. But that's yeah, they got burn marks. Where would that come in on? It's hard to tell. I don't know. Maybe I could just clean that up a bit more. They shouldn't be coming loose though. It never did before. Because once I got this first time, put this on, because it sat around and didn't run because we couldn't start it. Charged the battery up. It's fired up straight away. It's injected. Yeah, it fired up, ran good, and we rode around and we were having a ball. It's absolutely stupidly fast. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see. But, yeah, so because we can't find fairings on it, what we're making a Street Fighter look. So we made up a little bracket so the dash can actually sit, because it was loose before. Because there's the frame that's supposed to be around the front, and it sits up something like that. And it's just a big piece of, unless you got the full frame, it's just not going to work. So these ones are just bolt-on. They just bolt onto your forks. 2 headlights, works quite well. With some LED, little rubber LED fucking indicators. What else? Oh, you couldn't get a guard, so we just whatever. And yeah, fabricated that to fit that. So it's kind of Street Fighter-ish. Oh yeah, and little mirrors. I don't know if they're that good, but they might be legal. We're hoping they're legal, but yeah, just, I don't know. We'll see. But this is it. So I am going to put the gasket back on. I was going to do an oil change and change the oil filter, which I've got here. Like I've got there's 4 litres of oil, and the oil filter's just sitting up there on the Scooby-Doo. So at least that's done, and then we can figure out. I'll do the oil change later, because I'm not going to put 4 litres of friggin' oil, new oil, into this thing. Only it turns out that we've got to pull the engine out, flip it upside down, drain all the oil out to really change the bearings. So I'm not going to do that just yet. I think we're going to have to. We're probably going to change the exhaust too, because that is illegal as. But we might end up cutting it off there, and then weld a proper one. If you ever look at an 03 Sprint RS, you'll see it has a normal exhaust, not this straight goblin squid looking freaking thing, because this used to be owned by a squid before, and he just fucked it up. But we've returned everything to kind of normal, and bought parts for it. So anyway, other than that, this thing goes alright. It was dropped on its side and all the oil came out of the air filter. I put oil in it, doesn't seem to affect it much. Cleaned the air filter and all that box out, so it runs. It's something not full revving. It seems to be just, no, I don't know. And this old beast, which I've had for a while now, that I'm starting to work on, I've got a new, bought some forks for it. Where the hell did the forks go? Oh yeah, they're in there. Bought some new forks to replace these slightly bent ones. So, I mean, you can only just tell, just that is just a bit off. Anyway, I bought a new set of forks, and as I said, there's the new brake line, because this one's got a what's name in it. But I let it sit for days and days and kept spraying it with Inox to try and loosen these bolts for the brake, so I can actually undo them. I've just rounded off the one on the caliper. That's not good. Yeah, obviously it's seized in there. I don't know how I'm going to get it off now, but that is rounded off. So it's not a 12 anymore, it's 11 and a half. So I don't know how I'm going to get that off. Speed wrench or something, I don't know. I've whacked it with a hammer, but I haven't got anything. I haven't got a speed wrench here. I've got one somewhere, and then I can try and that's as tight as well. I reckon that's going to round off before it happens. So, and I can't hit it because like that, everything's in the way. So I don't know what I'm going to do there, because I want this thing back on the road. Because this will be my it's a 2001 GS 500. I mean, I've got all the bits and pieces. I've got a box of bloody bits and pieces. Where is it? It's in there. There we go. I've got whole new ones. I've got one to buy two, just so I can replace it. Although I don't need to replace that one, but parts. So that's the other one I'm working on, and get rid of these, or put a peg on there and get rid of these stupid metal bloody things. They'll just freaking rip the skin off you. Hate them. Other than that, what did I do? I bought the mirrors, or it came with it, and they're a bit, yeah, but still. New handlebar, put the new handlebar on. Because it had some squid little thing that was right down here, which is stupid, so I put the original handlebars back on. I've just got to fix this, because there's a little hole there, little locator hole. Inside this is supposed to be a little piece of plastic that sits in the hole to stop this from turning around. It snapped off when I tried to take it off the old, the old one, old handlebars. So apparently you put a drill in a screw, cut the head off the screw, and that should fit. It's literally just to stop the whole thing rotating, so we'll see. But I've got to get those brakes off. I've got to swap those brakes out so I can at least ride it and stop, because there's a big hole in this brake line. And the other bike, she's at the shop, so we'll see how that gets back. Anyway, that's a bike update. Follow me for more shit that I've spent my money on that I probably shouldn't do, so I don't know. Anyway, everyone's left me on at work. Tune in next time when I'll try and see if I can get this stupid thing put back together and running, and we find out what is wrong with it. Probably have to get a borescope and have a look, or take the oil out and see if there's any shavings, see if it's glittery, because that could be a problem. But yeah, she doesn't like it now. Yeah, it's not good at all. But I don't want to rebuild it, so we'll see. Anyone got any ideas or anything about trying to get this thing running? Full battery, it just cranks over slowly, and you hear it squeaking, which is why I thought that was. Obviously, it's not that. That's not squeaking. That's not loose. So why is it squeaking? Which sounds to me like a bearing binding. So we should have put oil in it first before we started playing around with revving the ring out of it, because now the rings are gone, probably. I don't know. Anyway, enough of that. I'm going home. I have nothing going on. All right, cheers. Catch us next time. Like, comment, you know the drill. All right. Bye.